Hello everybody, my name is Cyrus, welcome to Fan University. This is the first movie of this giant series that I'm doing of all the Marvel Cinematic Multiverse stuff right before Secret Wars, because Secret Wars, I'm hoping at least, otherwise this would be kind of a waste of time, but also not because I'm culturing myself before Secret Wars. So let's get started on Blade. I watched it twice. I watched it, of course, recently for the notes, but I also watched it a couple years ago. I thought it was really good. It was really good, but more of my review later. Let's press play on Blade. So we open on like this pregnant lady getting rushed into a hospital, right? And the doctors are like, give her a C-section, give her a C-section. But she has like this bite mark on her neck, and we're like, okay, so that's a vampire. And we see the baby, and boom, boom, boom. Yeah, this guy, right? He's so dumb. He's like going with this girl. They go inside of a meat shop, and eventually they go into the back. And he looks down on his hand, like a little bit into the rave, and there's a little bit of blood. He's like, what's going on here? And seconds later, the showers turn on, and blood just gets everywhere. And something I gotta say about this movie, the CGI is terrible at a lot of points, but the practical effects are amazing. Like this blood, it looks real. It's so amazing. So basically, we find out through vampires because the lady has the teeth. And that's when Blade shows up. He has such a cool entrance.
It's the Daywalker.
So of course, Blade does Blade things, and he just starts murdering all of the vampires. They all start dying, and somehow Wesley Snipes gets zero blood on him. Not on his jacket, not on his face, not on his glasses. He gets zero blood, even though it's a blood rave and it's all coming down. That's so confusing to me sometimes. Like, that's so weird. So there's like I think he's a leader of the rave, and he works for this guy named Frost. Frost is going to be the villain, and we'll see him later. But he burns him alive and lets the random guy go to the police. So I wonder how that's going to hold up in court. We meet Karen, who's been looking at the blood, and she's like super confused because it's not normal blood. And she's like, what's happening? So her and this guy, I forgot his name, but they go down to the morgue and they look at the body while they open him up, give him whatever it's called. I completely forgot what it's called when they open a person up after they pass away. I completely forgot what that meant or what it's called. The body wakes up, or like the bad guy that was burned alive, and bites the doctor in the neck. And Karen gets bit through the hallway, and Blade shows up at the right second at the hospital. And he starts messing stuff up. The police shoot him reasonably. I mean, like, Blade broke into there, but also not reasonably, because there's a man that should be dead. They should be shooting at, not Wesley Snipes. So the vampire gets away into like an alley, and Blade takes Karen, and he throws her out of a window like a silly goose, and then he jumps right after her, even though he could have just jumped with her in his hands. But we're not going to talk about that. So they get behind this thing, the police start shooting, and they eventually escape. They go into a garage where we meet Whistler. I really like Whistler because of the actor. The actor's really cool. Because he injects garlic into Karen so she doesn't become fully zombie. I'm very sorry that I said zombie. That was very dumb. I meant vampire, just so you know. So we meet Frost, who's the main villain, and has betrayed the vampires because he's not pure. A pure blood means that you're born a vampire, while Frost was bitten sometime in his life to become one. Like, there's this entire table of a bunch of people that are pure, and they're allowed to sit there because they're pure and were born with that. And Frost is the only one that is half-blood. His motive is to rule over all the humans because, like, lore than them. They're insignificant. They're just food. They're just food to them. Which, I mean, they're basically a species. I'm not saying he's right. I'm not saying he's wrong. So they catch Karen. She runs away. They catch her again. And Whistler explains that Blade and Whistler go across the entire country to kill vampires. He also says that they're everywhere and they're in everyday places. And he gives her like this gadget that squirts things out and suggests a gun. And if she starts to be like a vampire, she knows who to use it on. You see that Frost is like trying to dissect an ancient language, which when he does, it is so confusing. More on that later. Blade drops Karen off at a dark alleyway and just leaves. So she goes inside her like apartment building, goes up an elevator and looks at the necks and has like markings on them. And she realizes that she's with a bunch of vampires. They go into their own room and she goes into hers. She's like packing up. She's gonna leave. I mean, like, you don't want to live in the world of vampires. So she's obviously going to Mars. And an officer walks in. Karen sprays him in the eye. And he's like, what the heck, yo? I'm not a vampire. I work for him. And he's a normal dude. And Blade, he walks in and he beats him up. Blade looks at his neck and there's a thing called a glyph. Now, in this universe, a glyph is something to a specific vampire that was on those like seats, and it means a vampire owns you, basically, like you owe him something. The officer runs away and Karen decides to go with Blade to help him on this adventure. Yay! They stake out, wait till the officer comes back. They try to get into this like vampire thing. I don't even know what to call it. I think it's a club, but Blade instantly starts like beating people up. They get to the officer in the kitchen. Blade opens the fridge because he's like, alright, where's the entrance to whatever they're trying to do? And the officer's like, through the fridge, and Blade's like, are you stupid? But Blade eventually opens the fridge, and inside is the entrance to the storage facility. Back at Frost's place, we see he's throwing a party. But he wasn't attending because he completed the translation. Now, about the translation, it is very, very confusing because it's like the graphics I am so confused about. They play it multiple times throughout the movie. It's very annoying. But it has like the glyphs and then one in the center, which is supposed to be a blood god, and then it explodes. But it never explains what happens when the blood god is like expanding, and it just annoys me. The officer gets to Frost and he's like, yo, this guy Blade, he basically nearly killed me. And Frost gets so annoyed that he decides he's gonna kill this officer, so he does. Frost sends the guy that Blade burned in the first part of the movie. It seems like a running joke throughout this movie that he's just gonna get beat up. Like, that's his thing. We meet the record keeper, and I don't know if this is a man or a woman, so I'm just gonna blur that out because I have no idea if this is a man or a woman.
He's here! He's here!
This must be Pearl, the record keeper.
You know, I did not edit that in. That is part of the movie, so don't blame me on the fart. Oh my goodness, I'm so happy because I'm on iMovie because I don't have a Mac right now and I want to be able to blur it out. I'm so happy, yay. Basically, that's like the librarian of the storage. Every time the keeper lies, Karen burns them more and we find out about the blood god.
And there's nothing you can do about it, Daywalker!
Is that so?
Well, that's what Frost says.
Now, the blood god is basically the god of blood. We learn about the vampire Bible.
These are the pages from the Book of Erebus. vampire Bible. It contains everything. Their entire history. The Magra must be one of their legends.
Blade sees this like little kid running through and he gets to her. And she's a distraction. And he beats her up. I mean, she beats him up. That would be terrible. She beats him up and he gets tied up by the bad guy, you know, that was sent to get him. And someone gets their hand cut off by this wax sword. It has little knives at the end and it like swirls around and cuts off your hand. It was really cool. So Whistler comes in saving the day and he kills a bunch of vampires because he's cool like that. He saves Blade and Karen and they go into this like behind the train. This fight scene's actually pretty cool with the train. It's a thing with the early 2000s in trains in Marvel movies. Like in the next movie we have X-Men and then Blade 2. I haven't seen that, but Spider-Man has trains. Like what's up with trains in Marvel? Karen stabs the guy in the leg with Blade's sword and Blade throws him into the train full on Spider-Man 3 style. Guy runs away because he's scared and beat up again, and Blade like holds Karen and catches the back of the train to escape, and they escape. Blade slowly starts turning into a vampire, and we find out how Whistler found him. He was just like a little kid, and Whistler was about to just murder him, but realized he's a Daywalker. Before I explain what a Daywalker is, first I should tell you how he became one. Blade's mom was attacked by a vampire right before Blade was born. That made him half human, half vampire, which is basically what a Daywalker is. A Daywalker is a vampire that has like all the strengths of a vampire except for age and the strengths of a human, so best of both worlds. We see that Whistler can't find a cure for it, and Blade is starting, his blood is starting to become stronger. So we find out how Whistler got into this. So his family was murdered by vampires. And that's why he's been doing this with Blade, so he can kill vampires, basically. So one of the people on the chair, board, whatever, Frost takes the fangs out of them. And the sun rises, and it's a classic thing where vampires can't go out in the sun, and he burns alive. And it, honestly, it is really graphic. Like, the CGI is not good in this movie, but I think they put it all to this one scene. Karen makes like a serum that makes it so when it touches vampire blood, the vampire explodes. So Karen's taking like blood out of Blade for a test, and Whistler is in the corner coughing. Karen asks, "Hey, what's up with him?" Blade is like, "He has cancer." And Karen's like, do you care? He's like, "No. He's just like my supplier." And that sets up basically his character development of the movie. So Karen has another day because like one day left before she becomes fully vampire because they didn't fix the bite in time. She's like, "Oh no." So Blade's just walking through the streets doing nothing, and he looks across the street. There's Frost with a little kid, and he goes over to him. He's like, "Yo, it's daytime. What you doing? You got sunblock?" And Frost is like, Yeah, I do." And he's like, if you try to shoot me, I'll just throw this kid. I'll kill this child." So he goes into this villain thing where he doesn't like humans because they're cattle and they mean nothing because they're just food.
Look at them. They're cattle. Pieces of meat. What difference does it make how their world ends? Plague, war, famine. Morality doesn't even enter into it. We're just a function of natural selection, man. The new race.
So he offers Blade a truce to join him. Blade is like, "Are you stupid? I've literally killed so many of you people." Blade shoots Frost, so Frost throws the child across the street, and the child, she's about to get hit by a bus. Luckily, Blade picks her up just in time, full-on Spider-Man 2 style. Karen finds a cure for humans turning into vampires, but not already vampires or Daywalkers. So that's pretty cool. She's fully healed. Some of the vampires make it to the warehouse like Frost and his henchmen. Whistler's shot and he's completely beat up while Karen is kidnapped by Frost. Blade returns in the warehouse and he sees Whistler in a chair all bloody, and this is really, really sad. Find out that the Frost needs a Daywalker because Blade is the key. Like, Blade's blood is what will make the blood god. Blade has to give Whistler a gun, and because Whistler's basically turning into a vampire, and we can't have that. So Blade has to let Whistler die, and he has his character development. Like, it's basically complete.
Now walk away, you stupid son of a... Walk away.
He prepares and he leaves the warehouse to go kill Frost, because Frost, he sucks, yo. Blade gets into the building, or instantly starts destroying everyone.
Look, make it happen, alright? It's one guy on foot.
Uses the serum on a couple of vampires and they blow up. No, I don't know what to do about this video. It's gonna be really graphic anyway. So Blade goes into the white room where that Frost found the thing, the translation, and we find his mother, and she's a vampire now. Like, what? Whack. So we find out that Frost is the person that bit Blade's mother, which I'm assuming kind of makes him half his father, but then who's that other half? I don't know. Blade and Karen are taken into the Temple of Eternal Night. That's where they're gonna put the glyphs and then resurrect the blood god. Frost and the other guy take Karen and throw into her, like, a little cave. It has the guy from the beginning of the movie that she doesn't like. So she beats him up and then escapes. Like, it wasn't that much. Blade is tied up to the thing that will cut him open, and his mom is getting a little close. Like, it's a little weird. Not a little, it is weird. She's like, nothing is, it makes me uncomfortable. So the thing combines, and it starts cutting Blade's hand, and it puts the vampires put the glyphs on the spots. Karen breaks Blade out, and he's like bleeding to death. He's nearly dead. This is so sad. So she's like, bite me, Blade, and so he does, and that gives that gives Blade her blood, and he becomes powerful again. So basically, they stole from Morbius. I think that happens in Morbius. I haven't seen it. All of the glyphs get electrocuted, and like these skeletons with wings come out of the mouths, and it's like bad CGI. Blade kills his mom, rightfully so, and Frost becomes the blood god. He just starts murdering a bunch of vampires in a cool fight scene. He has a fight, sword fight with Frost, and that's pretty cool. Even though Frost is a god now, why is he using a sword? We see that the Blood King can regenerate quickly, and with that regeneration comes just the most amazing CGI.
Too late, Blade.
Blade finds the serum, and he starts throwing it all at Frost, and then it gets in the last one in his head, and then he explodes. Blade and Karen escape the Eternal Night temple, and they part ways. So something that's special about this movie is that they didn't need a romantic relationship, just like how Shang-Chi didn't. I really like that. Now, my review is that this is a really, really good movie. Like, it's what changed comic book movies forever, that they can actually be mature. They don't have to be this silly stuff, and it's just amazing. I love it. It's one of my favorite Marvel movies. I can't wait for Blade next year, November. So, yeah, I give it I don't even know, an A on my rating thing. So, hope y'all enjoy your day. Bye!